Universe podcast. So much universe, so little time.
Hey everyone, it is Mark and I am here with Matthias and we are here for Kings of War Champions. So Matthias, how you doing?
Yeah, fine. Everything's good so far. My champion stuff still isn't here because I changed my order from the English version to the German one, and the German one isn't still done. So my last information was, I think, autumn this year. But then all the boxes should be released at the same time. So at least I don't need to wait to buy everything if I want to. But here we are. So I still own on the demo rules to play a little bit at home. But for the big building, I'm still waiting.
Still waiting. They're going to release all of the boxes in German at the same time?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. Might be an advantage. Maybe I think it's not that good that we waited that long. But on the other hand, it's going to be, so say, easier for Christmas. Like we have them all released in autumn or closer to Christmas. So it might be an easier decision for people which one to buy or go with the starter set if they want to try into. So maybe we missed the big hype in German on release, but therefore we maybe get the Christmas hype to see later. But we'll definitely do a review of the German version and maybe have some Christmas experience in here if everything works out.
Oh, that's exciting.
You went to Origins. How was that for you?
Origins was fantastic. We actually had a nice showing for champions at the show. It was actually kind of a focus from Mantic, and starting at the beginning, Mantic did have another booth this year, which was fantastic. And one of the big problems we had in 2024 was the area where we were playing the games was disconnected from the booth. So, and the other problem is we didn't have all the product that we wanted to match up with the games that we were running. So we solved all those problems. Big shout out to Blake Schroed for really bringing it this year. We had more Pathfinders this year, and they brought the stock that we needed. They brought lots of champions. I was hoping we were going to sell out, but we came close of selling out of the starter sets. But there was, I think, 6 left at the end of the day. So,
yeah, Mantic learns and improves as they do it. Getting better each year is not a bad thing. So,
Oh, no. I expect more next year. So,
yeah.
And from a champion's perspective, they were running demos, and they also, Mike Carter, the Pathfinder extraordinaire, also ran some learn to plays as well. So, which was very interesting. The learn to plays were featuring 6 players because Mike painted up the 6 companies, and then he would run you through a guided learn to play session. And it was scheduled for 2 hours to get you through and teach you all the nuances of the game. One of the really neat things that Mike had there was a cheat sheet, which was really cool. So I have sent him a text. I'm going to see if that's able to be released to the public or not. But it was a really, really cool little sheet to, just summarize the rules. It was all on one side, so it was very nice.
So the original one-page rules again.
There you go. 1-page rules. Yeah, back. And hopefully it doesn't turn into what 1-page rules is turning into. So, but
keep it simple as long as it works. It's no need for a change. Yeah. Yeah, good to hear that the demo games and Origins went well for champions.
But also just real quick, the other thing that they had too was they had scheduled ticketed events that you could get. They gave you a 1-hour slot to come play champions. So, which was really neat. And you could play from the armies.
Yeah.
They had some demos set up, and it wasn't as much hand holding with the 2 hour Mike Carter sessions, but you could sit down, get company, and play somebody. So I actually took advantage of that, and my wife played her first game of Kings of War / Champions since the game was introduced back in beta in 2010. I finally got her to do it, and Champions was the vehicle for that, and she
Just
absolutely kicked my butt.
yeah.
So
So all it needed was Mantic to release the right game and driving to Origins to get your wife into gaming. So it sounds awesome.
well, in the Champions at least, I'm very fortunate. My wife's a big D&D player, board gamer, etc. So I'm blessed in that. But yeah, when it comes to Kings of War and Warhammer, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, Champions looks to be appealing to the D&D or to RPG players in general because you get that much more story on the models. Every unit has its name, its backstory, and things like that. So this is really appealing to if you are coming from that side of gaming. And everything being simple and laid out for the fast gameplay also makes it for the board gamer. So if you're stepping up from a board game to a war game, this is like the small baby steps similar to Dead Zone, where it's not that much different from a board game. I think Champion hits right here.
Oh, I agree with you. And one of the other things is, D&D players, they like to mod things. So I can see this replacing a mass combat system if you're going to do that in D&D. And I know there's been many attempts and many that I have played over the years with that. So I think this is just begging to be modded for something like that for D&D players. Plus the units are named and you have named characters. So it kind of works it all together, I think. So.
It's funny because last weekend when I was in the tournament talking with the TO, because they discovered Kings of War because they looked for a mass battle system to work out their D&D battles. So, and now are all hyped for this. It just comes like Champions comes 2 years late for them to be the perfect intro game, but I can see others doing that because it's somehow Kings of War, because of its simplicity and flexibility, is appealing to D&D players who want to step up. So Champions is really the right middle ground to see. You're not sure, buy the box, you get it's really just a boxed game where everything is inside, so you can't do anything wrong, or you need additional work to do it, and then go heavy modding because the unit bases are there. Your goblins can be gnomes. Your we don't have elves yet, but this might be an issue. So Twilight can be all kind of other elves as well if needed, and you have the evil forces. And those align very well with D&D in general if you want really something for that kind of game. So I think this a very good idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the scenarios play well, if you want to do something with the D&D, and the characters give you an idea of how to develop a character. I know I played an old set of D&D rules where they took your main character and then they took the specific abilities that it had and distilled it down into what your tabletop person would be. So there's been many iterations of D&D mass battle over the years. I cannot remember which one that was, but yeah, very cool. So hopefully, like you said, this brings some new D&D players in and grabs them a great set of rules, and then they can play Champions with us because we'll get more opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. How was your building experience? Because I think you have now built all or most of the boxes. Some are in progress. Which one do you find was the easiest or the hardest to build?
Well,
or get on the table?
Yeah, I have got all 6 of them built right now. I do not have the ogres yet, and I do not have the halflings, oddly enough. And I went to my local gaming store to ask for it, and I know I'll get no sympathy from you, Matthias, on this whatsoever. They're like, "Oh, well, we can't get those for you until September." I'm like, "September? They released on July 15th. What is going on?" So I'm on a quest right now to try to get Champions into the supply chain so that I can get a copy.
I've heard the US got some supply issues with with Mantic products recently. I don't know. I've heard it from other people as well that they have hard time tracking down already released boxes.
Yeah. So that now my store has a great display of champions. So I'm trying to get people to buy them to play with us. So that's one of the reasons I went on
Yeah.
my building project. I am a freshly minted Pathfinder here in the U.S. So I'm trying to help build a community. You know, my local game store owner put the money in to buy the big display and everything. And, I bought my share, and I know other people have bought some stuff. So I'm trying to see if we can get a community going up here. So I built
Yeah,
all
might
of them.
take some time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I did use that to go ahead and build all of them. So which one? The worst one? Oh, I really don't like putting the Reapers together. That was a horrific
Yeah,
experience.
they are
And
tricky.
go ahead.
I mean, I have built them recently for my wife, so I know what everyone is talking about. It's like if you're not into modeling, the Reapers are hard to grasp what you need to do and how to handle them. And I found the easiest way to build them was to clip the every time only a single body out, the matching legs, clean them up, glue the legs on the body, and then let it dry, and then go to the next model. And after I have all 5 bodies with 5 legs, if this dried and stood enough to handle, and then go for the arms and heads to glue on, because just doing like if they're still wet or still like deforming if the glue isn't fixed yet and things like that, they are so fragile and hard to handle, or if you by accident clip out more than one model at a time to get the right pieces back together. So this is really just a model by model experience for me. I said this worked out the best, and like, yeah, five models an evening, things like that. Not everything at once. This is they need to be slowly built.
Yeah, they are the most difficult kit that I ran across. Now, and the worst part that I think of the Reapers, and you're right, bodies, legs, don't try to assemble them all at one time, even with a stronger type of bonding glue, because the claws at the top are going to fall off and they're going to lean one way or the other, and it's just a nightmare. I can't get the legs together right on these things. And I've probably built 20 of these guys, including my Night Stalkers army, and I just can't get them to match up right. Do you have any tips or tricks on that? That is my hardest thing.
Whew, this is how to say it. I don't have really anything that helps here because I struggled as well, because it's like you clip them out, you dry fit them, you see, okay, they should match that way, and that way it fits perfectly. And once you put the glue on it, it doesn't match anymore. You are slightly off because somehow the surface is too flat, and it's really off, and you have to drive it. I think, yeah, it's like I thought it. I just didn't really put the attention to it to make it perfect. I just get it. Yeah, once I don't see a seam around it or really a gap anymore, I'm happy with it. Leave it as it is. If it is not 100% perfect, it works. They're still nightmares. They don't need to be look perfect or anything. They still can have their limbs off and in weird position anyway. They just need to look sturdy enough to be glued on a base, and then it's fine. So don't. My tip is don't try to make them perfect. I know they have a perfect fit. Don't try to use it. If you get it by accident, it's okay, but don't try too hard to make it a perfect model build, because just as soon as there are no gaps anymore on the model, it's fine. Don't try to adjust anything anymore.
Oh, there you go. I have got some really weird leg combinations on my models, so don't laugh too hard when you see them. But
No.
Now, Mike Carter put up something on his blog, Until Somebody Loses an Eye, which if you need
the
model
best blog out
assembly
there ever made.
instructions. What's that?
I said it's the best blog that was ever made for modeling in general. So great call out for that blog. I really love it. It's a good reference even for older models. So he is doing God's work for Mantic models to put all those things out there. So if anybody has modeling problems, go search for the block until somebody loses an eye. Your problems will be solved looking at this.
Oh, yeah. And that's why we call him the Pathfinder Extraordinaire. So Mike is amazing. So, but his tip for this is take a look at the butts and try to line them up that way. He said, if the butt lines up, you're all good to go.
So once the butt is sexy enough, be happy.
That's exactly it. So, but I try to put them together. And see, I'm trying to make sure that the foot pads, with the little rocks they're standing on, look even with the ground. And I get mesmerized by trying to make that happen. So the next time I build one, because unfortunately I saw that after I, clawed my eyes out trying to put the last batch together, I'm going to try that looking at the butt and see if that happens. So, but it is a difficult kit to put together.
Another good tip from my side is to always have some thinner sheets of cork or cardboard or anything like that on hand, because even if you glue them on the base and you see the legs are a little bit off and not matching, put a little bit of cardboard with super glue underneath the legs to balance that out. Don't try to readjust an already glued down legs. This is never going to work out well. So just try to put something on the base so that they have a good standing. Don't try to change the model once it's glued.
Yeah, good tip. And I have tried to do that before, and it never turns out right. I always think to myself, I've got some putty at home, or I've got some putty up there. I can use that. Nah, it never works. Never works. So let's see. Easiest models to put together. Boy, it's a tie between the goblins and the flame bears for the abyssals. Why? Because they're 4 pieces. They're like good old school Games Workshop type models, 4 pieces, head, 2 arms, the body and the legs are 1 piece. So throw them together. Just to give you an idea, it took me for the Reapers. I've been doing sessions at the hobby shop, roughly 2-3 hours, roughly. Took me almost 2 full sessions to put the Reapers together. And I got 20 goblins done in, I think it was 24 minutes, something like that. It was real quick. It was like, that included clipping, sanding, scraping together. Bam. Compared to the Reapers. I mean, that's why they're just so slow. But, the flame bearers and the goblins, super quick.
Yeah, those are really the classic wargaming model, built fast, with still being option to make different models of the same bodies, because the arms and all freely to pose or to move. Also, the heads are all free to move. So this is like, they will still look different, and even though the body is in a single piece. I have to say I struggle a little bit with the goblins, but that's completely
how
on
can
me
I help?
because yeah, you can't. It's my problem. I have the issue that I hardly ever put models together as they are in the assembly guide or should be put together from the modeling point of view. So always try to make little conversions and little difference in poses and things like that. And with the goblins, because it's the full frame and you get all the options, you have so many possibilities to make conversions and crazy things, because goblins are crazy. You want to put the goblin thing into them, and then it's like there are way too many possibilities for me to just those 2 arms on the models, head on, be done. That's not something I can't do with the models. I need to do something with them, something else, some cutting, some changes on weapons, some crazy things with the archer stuff that is in there. So it's like too many possibilities for me to go crazy with that kit.
The Goblin kit is great. What does it have? 12 heads on it and everything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can really, like save heads between frames. Now everybody's got the same head, but, you can save like all the armored heads and, if you want to up armor a unit or something like that. So, very interesting. I love that. I love those frames. So the thing is, you end up with so many extra parts. So
yeah, you can always use them on anything else. It's a tricky thing. Sometimes I like to have too many or extra parts in there because you never know what you're going to do with them later. But I also can see the advantage of saying, yeah, less parts and more dedicated kit to save on sprue space and do other options with it would also be an advantage to some kind. But thing with the, I think the Reapers are already a kit that doesn't have that many leftover parts. Once it's done, there are just some additional heads, but not many, and the other arms that you might want to use for other conversions. So this is really neat compact kit. On the other hand, the goblins, you get so many parts to do crazy things with the goblins on later. Like you can get the grinder in there to put some
Oh, yeah,
extra
yep.
spears on it and things like that, or use the meal weapons with some extra spikes if you want to spice it up a little bit. So you can really get crazy with the extra parts to get there, or like use the goblin crews, some of the goblins from the units, like just put 8 on the unit base and use 2 more for the grinder as a crew, and give them the bows to make an archer crew who are hiding behind the Mensa, or put the small mop-ups that are in there somewhere on the base. So it's like really, so having too many options on the goblins is never a bad thing, in my opinion.
Oh, the maw pups, exactly. And that goes with your theme because Grunk's got all the maw pups he's scooping up to shoot. So all those little maw pups on the frame are very, very well timed, so to speak. So I'm thinking about putting a couple on the bases. And I'm glad you reminded me. I gotta write that down. I'm gonna do that. So you gotta, I mean, that's just kind of a nice theme, it's just got maw pups because that's what he's doing,
Yeah. He already has the mob-ups on the base, so putting some of those that are on because I think are there 4 in total, I think? So
yeah, boy,
at least enough
at
for
least
one
4.
at each base, if I get it right.
Right. So that would be very cool. So, but that's one thing we don't talk about a whole lot, and with Mantic frames and stuff like that is kit bashing.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it because people say, quote unquote, it's model agnostic, etc. But we don't talk a lot about modding and kit bashing. So Champions isn't really geared towards that, but possibly
Depends.
it depends. Like I'm not building mine straight up, as far as by the cards. I can see the advantage of doing that.
I mean, you have the 2 possibilities. The rules itself are flexible enough that you can put on the base whatever you want. So that there's no hard guideline what you need to put on the base, just the base is there, which for some people might be already too much freedom because they don't know what to do. While for others, it's the right amount of creativity because they can do what they want with the bases. You can do a lot of kit bashing. You can do a lot of diorama bases, scenery. You have leftover models which you can add as markers or anything you want. So it really because the unit have the rules, the base size, and no hard cap on models. You can, even if you want to put more models on a base, if you have some leftovers from anywhere else or less, you can also put, like, if you feel like to put some archers between the spears, if you want to do that or things like that, because it doesn't change the unit by itself. It's that the unit is still the unit. It's named one. There are those possibilities, and the kit bashing, the frames give you a lot of stuff to do. Like if you feel it, when you're asking what to do with the leftover stuff that is there, put some bits where you feel like. You can also use if you want to have more gore in your hobby, just put the leftover arms and heads as base decoration, as fallen opponents or anything like that on the bases, so that the goblin base could be full with already slain goblins. It's as a base decoration if you feel like that kind of thing, or put some ripped off arms in front of the grinder or on the grinder, just to make it like really look like it went through a unit at already. Those small little bits. So yeah, champion is like thing it doesn't really say that you need to do it, but it also doesn't really give any restriction on kit bashing. So I think some people might need a little push to go in that direction, but I think it has the right balance between guide and non-guided on modeling, if I get it right.
Yeah, and every game needs a progression. That's one of the things I worry about a little bit with Champions is, this is it. So, we're going to get new companies and things like that, but there's got to be ways for the game to grow a little bit, not a ton. I've got a bunch of ideas that I want to talk to you and Ronnie about when we're at Clash. But
yeah, we need to take Ronnie aside and have some mediation on him to get ideas out. But I see the problem that is there, because Champions is it is a box game at the moment. So you buy the box or you buy the 2-player set. It isn't a start, it is the full game. So you get everything you need. But what we can do with progression would be there is nothing restricting them for releasing the same hero again. Like what happens with him, how he progresses in the story, what happens to his company, like releasing an upgrade stage 2 of the Goblin one, or whatever happened to Celestis when she defeats the Cardinal, or things like that. So you can get a progression in the heroes if we feel like that. This could be an option. Another thing that I would like to see is growing with the terrain. Because now that I've seen what they have done with the Halo cardboard terrain, I really feel like this would be nice to have in Champions, to have some fantasy themed 3D terrain that matches the champions or their storyline. So this is where they started, this is where they're going, a new scenario with the storyline of one of the existing champions and some terrain that you can put together as an growth and expansion for the game, the game growing with the story and not with additional rules or anything like that.
Yeah, terrain in the boards is one area where you can really do some growth, so to speak, because you don't have to use just the board that's in there. If you buy the mat, well, you bought the mat. But, I've already got my own cutout for a board, which you'll see in a video coming up. But I think that's another area, because you don't have to use what's in the box. You can expand beyond that. Now, you do need, like 2 of the large pieces and 3 of the small pieces. So, but in the rule book, they tell you what the parameters are for those size of terrain. So once you've played some games and you've reached that point where you think you need to expand it a little bit, or you'd like to add a little extra spice just to get people to the table, terrain's a good way to start. And, it's not a lot of money to work on doing terrain pieces and things like that. So that might be a way to go.
I mean, one thing that there's a lot of generic fantasy terrain already out there you could use, especially of the non-building terrain like woods and rocks and things like that. There's also something that is easy to do with stuff you find at home. So there's your great modeling opportunity in building awesome tables, because this is also an advantage here. Champions doesn't need a lot of space. So you can make awesome tables that are really themed towards a specific terrain type. Like you can make a full 3D winter table with a dedicated board. But because it's only so small, it doesn't take up that much space that you can't make 2 more of those. Like if you have the full wargaming table and you once have built it with really a 3D plate and things like that, the big question is always where to store it, and do I want to build another one? Like if you already have a winter table, do you want to build a desert table again? Because where do you store it? Where do you build it? With Champions, you can have 3 different tables for the size of a large one. And I think this is a big opportunity where you can expand your personal collection, because it doesn't need to be that much. You can have those small pieces that do not need to link together and keep them independent, just what you feel like. If you want to feel like a winter table, build one. Then you want to have a forest table, build one. And it's still not less storage space than you would need for a big Kings of War table.
Right. I also see that as an opportunity for when, like the new Clash of Kings, so to speak, comes out or something like that. If they do advance the story in Champions, I don't know if we're going to get a annual update book. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think it's just a box game. This is what you're going to get, and we're going to expand it through boxes. So, add-ons that you don't need. You know what I mean? Like if you got the original starter set for
Yeah.
Champions, you're good. You don't need to buy anything else besides that. So, but if you buy this expansion pack, then you have access to this. So, I know that, they're teasing what's coming in November, and we know we're getting a mystery 10th company, which we all believe is a new faction because of the little MDF pieces that are coming in the company boxes. So that's all been but confirmed at this point. So, there's some good guesses out there as far as, what that faction's going to be. So how's that going to impact Champions? Because we know that the faction's coming into Champions. So are they just coming into Champions, or is something else coming along with it? Because Ronnie is promising us something special in November. So
this is Ronnie's promise and guesses is always a tricky thing, because I'm already looking forward to the Clash of Kings tournament to get some more information on that one. Maybe we get him to talk something into detail, especially for Champions and not just for a general release. Maybe get some hard liquor out there and make him drunk enough to have loose lips again for talking. I don't know, but yeah, it's I am very curious what the 10th or what the November release will be. If it's something, I don't want to put too much thinking into it, because maybe I just get disappointed if I expect too much, but I'm still curious and looking forward to it, what it will be, and if it's really a full new faction or just new plastic for something existing or fleshing out something that already exists. So it's still all possibilities out there.
I'm Brandon Rossbond of Winged Hussar Publishing, and you're listening to the Mantic Universe Podcast.
Maybe we get new dwarves or something like that, or elves. I'm really missing the elves for the Champions at the moment. It's like, but this is on me, because I'm building finishing my elf army for the Clash of Kings tournament at the moment. So I really thought forward, an elves Champions box would be nice to put something and oppose in the Twilight Kin, to have the good and evil elves there as both as new models would be nice. But maybe it's something completely different and nothing what anyone expected or speculated on that. So we have to wait. But once it hit, I guess we gave it a special episode on here.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be giving you wall-to-wall coverage of anything that breaks here on Champions. So absolutely. I'm just hoping that everything Ronnie outlined for us in his interview at Adepticon earlier this year, I think it was in April 2025, for those of you listening to this afterwards. But, I mean, he outlined a very aggressive, wonderful plan for Champions. And my hope is just that it's going to happen. So it's all about, how does that, move forward? Like he mentioned, every time they do a new Kings of War army over the next 4 or 5 years, there's going to be a Champions. So there you go. So every single time there's going to be an update to this game, you buy the box, you build the box, you play the box. There's no army building, no points about it. So that's exciting. So, and the other number I saw was like 17 companies or something like that. Now, if you know Kings of War, you do some quick math in your head. What do we got? 30 right now? Possibly factions that you could do boxes for.
Yeah.
So, but it sounds like every time we get a model refresh, we should get it. So I'm debating with myself what I would like to see for the 4th edition release box. One, if you're doing a new faction, that's obviously kind of a no-brainer. You'd probably want to have the new faction in there, but how cool would it be to have elves versus dwarves? And then you would have those boxes roll into Champions.
I think that would be awesome. And not just because I have both of those armies already here and would like to expand them with new modeling opportunities. But I think elves and dwarves are those two classic fantasy factions that people expect every game to have. So not having the shiny elves in there and nice dwarves models is it not sure if it puts people off, but it's not when people look at this is a fantasy game and then say, yeah, where are the iconic typical fantasy factions everyone expects, because there are those two that are in every fantasy game in there. So it would be awesome if champions would have those two boxes sooner than later. And of course, new models for dwarves and elves is something that Kings of War needs for a long time now, I think. Not that the current elves are bad, they are just different, or put it better, they are too small for the game Kings of War is now, I think. Being released, I think it was either their first or second plastic kit they released at all, and they work out to be more like a 25 mil instead of 28 mil scale, so just being too small for what people expect for that game. But they work very well for the Lord of the Rings game to go along with the models there, because those elves are also smaller. I think it's 25 mil as well, so maybe an upscaled version of those elves would be something that I would really look forward to. So maybe.
Well, we have a definite look into the future from the elves from League of Infamy and the dwarfs from Vanguard. If they went in that direction and put full armies together with those lines of miniatures, grand slam, out of the park, fantastic. So, and our new Dracons are based on that League of Infamy style as well. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think one... Being again on the elf design, one thing that I find sad most of the time when I see elves model is that they don't have that how to say go far off from regular humans. So they're not much tall. If there are some plastic elf kits out there, when you look at them, if they are painted in different colors, and say those are regular humans, you won't see the difference. It's just humans with pointy ears. As soon as they have helmets on, you don't see the pointy ears anymore. No big difference at all, which is a little bit sad, because there's a lot of opportunity to make elves look different from regular humans. And so like the Twilight Kin, they have this Slender Man design to really be skinny and taller than regular humans, but which gives it a little bit a different direction on what to see, so that makes standing out among others. And if they go with this for the regular elves as well, to be a more taller, slender, a different anatomy on the body parts, not looking too human on that thing, this would be nice on that one. And also for the dwarves, the Vanguard dwarves and the Kings of War dwarves, they have this dedicated armor style that is different to what most others are doing. So less this small Celtic style warriors, and more like their own thing with how the runes and helmets and armor style go. So if they keep this Vanguard stuff, if they put this once into plastic, this would be a big win here. And of course, we need dwarf cavalry in hard plastic. That's a big thing that we need for the future.
Well, I'm hoping we get that, because if you notice, we usually get some kind of hard cav in plastic with each release. So we just got the Basileans. For Twilight Kin, it was the big frogs, but still something you're riding, right? So we didn't really get that with the Abyss, though. But maybe the Nagari, they're on a cav base, so maybe was the substitute for that. So
maybe Nagaria chariot bases and things like that, but Abyssal Horsemen are missing in hard plastic. The PVC models are not bad, but PVC. I have to say, I was or plan building for next year's army to have the Abyssal army based with doing the horseman on the Nagari models. If this is or to describe it in different words, I experimented with the Nagaris that I have because I bought a single ambush box and how the different parts of the berserkers and everything fits. And I say, okay, if I modeled myself from plastic cards, some shields, use the berserker arm on the Nagari, and if I put 2 on the bases, they fit the cavalry regiment base quite well. So my big plan for next year is to have the Nagari models as a substitute for Abyssal Horseman to make use of those plastics. So if we don't get new Abyssal Horsemen next year, I'm a little bit disappointed because then I have 2 already models that, or I say too many Nagari models for that army. But maybe we will see what happens. And maybe with 4th edition Nagari get some different use also, because I think the Nagari from the Champions boxes is the only model that doesn't have a direct use in Kings of War, if I get that correctly. Because every other model or unit has an equivalent in base size and unit type in Kings of War, except for the single Nagari on the carrier base, because there's no single Nagari model and no carrier for the Abyssal army.
Right, that is right. So that's the one that doesn't have a direct port. So, but I guess that means that we're going to be seeing single Nagari when 4th edition drops. So to me, 4th edition and Champions are kind of linked together a little bit. So I think that the Champions is like a precursor to that.
Yeah.
So, that's the big rage right now.
A step in between to test and sort things out and how the base going and how rules writing is developed. And for me, I see that link too. Maybe we see a Nagari hero coming with 4th.
Oh yeah, that's a natural. Absolutely. So then again, Ronnie wants you to buy models. So I still think you'll see it. Absolutely. So, but I think that could be coming. And that would be exciting. And, they've kind of embraced preferred model count. I still like minimum model count. I'm an old schooler. But, then you could take your box of Nagari, do a Nagari hero, and then have a quote-unquote full base for 2 Nagari on the chariot base. And so you get a unit and a hero out of a box. So, but...
Yeah, minimum model count and preferred model count is I don't see it that strict anyway, because on some armies I put more models than the full model count on them, simply just because it looks better or because I have an additional models I want to have to be there on, like a zombie horde or a zombie regiment with only 20 models doesn't look like zombie enough for me. So I have put 25 or more models, as many as they can fit on there, to really make the zombie avalanche look like that. But I also have for my Glade Stalkers, where there are just 9 models in the regiment, because this loose formation hidden in terrain, things like that, looks better with not so a dense model count. So yeah, I think the rule of cool is still the most important one. So whatever you think is looking best is the right amount of models.
That's right. As long as you don't have a single model tacked in the middle with blue tack, gray, I guess, if you're testing a list, maybe, but, yeah.
I mean, if you are testing a list, having empty bases and write a name on it is a sufficient way to do it. Don't need any models at all to testing it. But
I unfortunately have that. I have that old Outrider gene. It's hard. So my kids grew up. They could not put a unit on the table unless it was painted.
Yeah,
because that was the rule when we were doing demos or stuff like that. So I still got that gene in me. My kids, but you know what? It taught them a good habit, and I can't shake that. I don't know why I should. It's stupid, but
painted models roll less double ones anyway.
I got to keep telling my models that. So. Absolutely, they didn't get the memo. So, but
Yeah, it's bad communication. It's
very, very cool. Well, the other project I want to work on too a little bit is, as we just talked about, there's 30 factions and, not all of them are going to get represented. Even if we get all official releases and updates, it's only going to get to 17. So, I don't know what
yeah,
fourth edition is going to do because, they're talking about, cutting back on the number of factions, which I hope does not happen. I'm a non-faction cutter.
yeah.
So, but, what do you do if you want to play the undead? So I'm working on a project for that. I'm not going to reveal it here, but maybe next episode I'll have it done. So
I mean, I
stay
am
tuned.
planning to use the Basileans from the 2-player starter set as Brother Mark models. Because, I play Brother Mark and not Basilea, so my interest isn't there. So I go and try to convert them to look to my army, write my own background and story fitting in there, so that I have my own like Brother Mark champions faction. So that's my hobby plan for the future.
Yep. And that's exactly the route I'm going down is, taking, and I tell people this on the Kings of War Champions Fanatics page over on Facebook, is that, just take one of the sets of cards, take your army, find some units that fit that template, the base template, build them up, and just use the rules.
Yeah.
And you're in the game. I understand they don't have an undead faction. I'm sorry about that, but I can't fix that. What I can do is encourage you to get into the game and play by putting together units and things like that to play champions with. And if you're gonna do that and you've got the base set or you're pulling the rules off of the Kings of War website, do not use the Abyss. Use the Basileans. You'll be much happier. We'll get into that topic here yet too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we haven't talked about games played yet. So
yeah, soon. I mean, this is a great opportunity because it is a casual game, so you can do your own thing. You don't need to strictly follow it. If you feel like house rules or any adjustments are needed for you to play at home, go for it. You play at home, you play with friends, family, with your kids. If something isn't there, but you want it to be there, just add it to the game. You don't need to follow the fully official things. If you feel like you want to play your goblins as some other factions you have models for, just write your own background, your own heroes. You might even go so far to develop your own champions' abilities and upgrades to use. It's perfectly fine. You play what you like. If you feel the need or want to make adjustment and add things to the game, just do it. It's not like you need to use the official rules because you're playing at the official stores or something like that. If you play the game and see the need for a house rule, a change, your own faction, your own background, this is perfectly fine. This is what we see the hobby. And Champions is also a good game to do exactly that, because the rules are that simple that you don't need to tinker very hard to come up with new stuff you might want to add, things like that.
right, we talked about the D&D players doing that for their mass combat simulations. Same thing here. We're just playing. I know people talked about how they're going to do tournaments with champions and all that, and it's like it doesn't. I don't know why every game turns into a competition and,
Yeah.
got to turn into that. But, we play the game for fun and have a good time. And, if we got to make a tournament out of it, sure. But, they were talking best 2 out of 3, swapping armies, sideboards, like,
Yeah.
I don't
There
know.
are possibilities. I mean,
Play narrow.
don't say tournaments, because they always have this very competitive taste along with them. Call this gaming days or events. I can see a champion event happening because it's a fast game. You get a lot of games for a day, and if you really have like people or like a club or a larger gaming group that is spread out over a bigger distance, like over several cities and things like that, because not everyone is living in a big city. Someone is on the countryside, but they say you have an hour drive on the country road to get games in there. It is much easier to have a weekend or a single day of the weekend, and you play 5 to whatever games you have instead of just one game a week where, on a weekday. An event with progressive scenarios and army switches and things like this isn't a bad idea to get people gaming in, because this is one thing the tournament by itself offers, is to make sure that different people play each other. So not always playing against the same people, but also people with similar skills playing against each other, so that you don't have like maybe in the first turn, but after second, third game, you're playing people with the similar skill levels. So this would be that you both have more fun if needed, because a bad player always playing at the very good player, because there's no one else in reach on a weekday. So an event or a gaming day might be a good option. And of course, you want to make it fun for everyone. So have a progressive scenario thing, or an army switch, or a sideboard. Like, I have 3 champion boxes. I want to play all 3 of them. A gaming event where you play 6 games, play each army twice, have fun. Shouldn't be a big issue.
No, I envisioned something like we had for International Campaign Day. I don't know if you played in those back in the day, but Ben Starter and Mark Cox put together some great International Campaign Days. They were so much fun. And, Ben, who is the author of several Kings of War novels right now, he's the one that wrote all the background and narrative and everything for the International Campaign Day. So, and again, he and Mark Cox did a fabulous job with those. Yeah. And so that would be something really cool. It wasn't, you playing for your army, it was for playing your side, so like if, it was basically good versus evil at the end of the day, who would win, and depending on who won a particular scenario, you would read this bit of fluff, and that is what happened in the story. So, and then they would give out like a bonus or something like that for the next game, and, just to mod it a little bit. And they were lots of fun. As a matter of fact, we got the Dead Zone, the podcast guys, to read Ben's his narrative bits for the story that played out. I think it was on the first International Campaign Day, and they did Vineland old time radio, so they had all the sound effects and everything else. It was really pretty cool. So it's a very old episode of Countercharge. So, but very, very
need to
cool.
dig that one out again. This was a long time ago.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean what's old. We're going to make what's old is new again. So you could use it for an event. Like you said, an event. I think that would be a perfect template for it, and it'd be much faster. Now, you went to an event, was it in Austria that you went to? Yeah. That was like all basically narrative?
Yeah, it's they make those 2 days events, because like for some people who say coming from further away, a single day isn't worth driving. And other peoples are put off by playing a tournament. So they make a 2-day event where the first day is an official Mantic tournament, like in the companion and everything, so that people who like this competitive gaming see it worth getting there. And the second day is a narrative-focused game where all games put together where you play not for your army but for your side. All things are put together with a story where each table has a sheet on the side with the story of that table and what you are playing for and things like that, so that you have a relaxed second day and get the narrative focused scenario play out there. And this year's, there was the second day was a siege game. So you had 3 attacking players, 3 defending players, 1 defending the castle, 2 others had a side game. So and also, of course, the other tables who wanted to play there as well. So this is like really a gaming event day or a gaming day, and not like really a tournament in the classic sense. For a 2-day event, and this is something think they made that kind of event last year, and we had some players from the Netherlands there, because they said, okay, there's a Kings of War. They missed the ticket sale for Clash of Kings, so they said they want to go to another 2-day event, and this was in Austria, so they came along and adapted that style of event day for their event at home, to have 1-day tournament and a 2nd-day narrative gaming. And this is something, because then you have everything. So it isn't like 2 days full of competitive game, but still a 2-day event, so it's worth driving there and not just say, oh, it's way too far away and not worth for a single day, because it's like a good option for this. And this could be done with champions, like you have a 2-day, even if you want to make something like a ranking or anything. Don't see that really happening in champions, but a 2-day event with narrative gaming where say day 1 influences day 2, or whatever side wins on day 1 get an advantage, or a progressive story, or more options, or the losers get losers is a bad word here, but the other players, the opponents get an advantage, or first day decides who plays the defenders in the siege game on a 2nd day things. Kings of War has a lot of options here to get into those. You could also go like first day being a champions, playing your side, good versus evil, and then 2nd day playing ambush Kings of War, or with the siege game rules. To be like that, to make an army progressive day, or to put 2 players together on a table to play a 4 versus 4 on the 2nd day, but the first day decides who plays together. So there are a lot of possibilities I can see there.
Oh yeah, the only limit you have is your imagination. I mean, for putting something like that together. I mean, it's whatever you want to see. So very, very cool. So okay. I'd also love to see sometime. I don't know if we're going to get a champion-specific novel or something like that, but it'd be kind of cool to be able to, do some kind of tie-in with, our favorite Kings of War book or something like that, and kind of replay the story or the major encounters.
Yeah,
and influence the story, so to speak, in an event.
This would be a good way to get a dedicated scenario expansion or something like that out. Like you have the novel, you have the terrain, a special scenario, so you can replay what happened in the novel. Might also be worth doing not a full novel, but a short story collection to expand the story from the champions in the rule book to the details and flesh it out, so that you have a short story collection with 8 stories from the 8 champions in one book. This would be nice to have.
Absolutely. I know Mr. Berman is always busy, but it'd be nice if Rob could do that for us. He's such an excellent writer. So, but yeah, it's an idea. I'm gonna check with Brandon, see if he can tell me what's in the pipeline a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
So what's going on? Because I mean, I'd love to see, and I know we're not going to get it because of the way Ronnie outlined everything. But it's something we could unofficially do, possibly. Like have a war band for Estelle or Orion or something like that, a war band company, or something like that. That's a little more book driven. That would be fun.
Yeah. I think this is like something that's missing in Kings of War for now is the replayability of historical events that we have. So this is a dedicated scenario to match what's happening in a story in the background. Champions could be a nice way to get this story-driven elements in there. Just play or maybe even an interactive novel where you have this, like, I don't know if you know those, because I've loved those as a kid. There were these interactive detective novels where you say, yeah, if you think it's this, then continue on page 100. If you think it's the other option, continue on page 120 and things like that. So this could be an interesting way for the novels, like story goes to page 50, then play the battle, and whatever wins, continue either on page 80 or on page 100.
Yeah. There's actually a Kings of War build your own adventure book. So
yeah,
I forget. Somebody actually did it online. We actually did that interactively at one time. Gosh, I can't remember what platform that was on, but I think it was Rob Berman, and we did the book. It was during the pandemic because we were all bored, and we needed something to do.
This is Fred reminding you to visit the Kings of War forum, kowforum.com. No ads, no commercials. That's kowforum.com.
So I think you read through it, and we did it as a group. Everybody voted, which page we should go on and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but that's a good idea too. So, there's so many good ideas. That's what I mean. I just see legs for this game that necessarily aren't tied up in the tournament scene. And I think on an upside is that hopefully it's more event driven and not a tournament scene. Because I think a lot of people are turned off by tournaments. And, you don't want to bring your 6-year-old to a tournament, but, to a gaming event, everybody would love to see them there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So this is like, it might be just, even if you think simply just given a different name, even if you plan to do a gaming day, but you call it a tournament, people are put off because they think this is some hyper competitive thing and not a family gaming day or something like that. Oh,
right.
So,
well, the other thing too is if you drop out, there's a lot of pressure. If you go to a tournament and you drop out, that's bad, because it re-racks everybody and, it changes. I mean, it happens all the time, but, it's definitely not preferred in a gaming event. If you got to leave and something happens or the kids aren't having it today, we've all been there. If you leave, it's not the end of the world. I mean, unless everybody leaves, but I'm sure.
It's like it's less social pressure to have problems, especially when you're traveling and gaming with the kids. There can always something happen, someone not feeling well or anything like that, or the kids today not being in the mood to play. On a gaming day, most people will understand and say, yeah, of course. So it's no pressure. We will arrange something different, and there are enough people usually there to compensate things. So I think this is...
that'd be great. Like if you're visiting Austria with the family and you can only get away for a couple of hours, contact the event organizer and see if you can slide in to help out for a little bit. That was one of the things about International Campaign Day. You did not have to play every game because it was the side, so you didn't have to play. Yeah. And they ran it for 24 hours too. So it was really cool to watch all the time zones come online and then drop offline, and then they had the Iron Man to see who could, play for all 24 hours. And, a lot of fun. There's so many things you can do.
We were younger those days.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing that either. So, but, that was exciting. I did try it the one time. So I didn't make it, but I tried it. So, but the fun is in the trying. It's not always, in the completion. I know we're in a results-driven, world, so to speak. But, in that particular case, it's all worth the hobby try,
Yeah.
So we all have families and we all got problems. Or, if you don't have a direct family, you've got friends or you're tied into somebody somehow. So,
yeah. So life is always unexpected and things happen.
Yep. Get called into work. So that's always the downside, right? So during International Campaign Day. So, but great things to do. And, scenario packs, like you mentioned before. I don't know what's coming in November, but, that could be a possibility of something that'll happen. Like they've got the basic, mat that you have right now. You could put out another one or replace the mat that's out there right now, kind of like what they do with the starter sets for Kings of War. You could put out another map, token set, on how you could pack
another terrain theme and things like that. Yeah, exactly.
I think that would be really, really cool. So also it would hit the collector gene in me where I'd have to start buying all this stuff. So Ronnie would love that part.
Yeah, of course.
Even though you don't have to have it all. So
yeah, I mean you have to have it all. At least everything you like. Don't feel a need to buy something you don't like. But way too many things that are good looking out there you want to play and assembly. But coming back
Yeah,
to scenarios, Mark, which of the scenarios do you like most at the moment, or have you played one more than the others?
um the one I've played more so, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. So now I'm feeling bad about that. But, like controlling the three objectives along the line. I mostly
Yeah.
played what they called a special scenario for Origins. Just put
Oh,
three
okay.
tokens along the midline and, control them and then score the points every round. So that was the main one. I've also had my fun, and even though it's not a official scenario, I guess, is kill. So, I know people
Yeah.
bag on that all the time, but, there's no better scenario to teach people how to play the game or to move models around than kill those guys,
Yeah. It's
How
well,
about
kill
you?
is how I don't think I have a favorite yet. We most of the time really use the random one or the random roll off to play the scenarios. So I haven't played all of them just because it's somehow we roll always the similar ones. But also I think the one with the portal moving tokens I think is the most fun in my opinion, because you have this unexpected where you're not just playing the opponent but also playing against the scenarios, because things can change on the run, and your plans are never going off with an additional dice roll in there. I think that this is currently my favorite one.
Oh, very, very cool. Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, we don't play with models that aren't painted on the table. So I've got my one done. It was great playing at Origins because I had all the companies to play with. Even though I
Yeah,
played the Abyss mostly, which I do want to talk to you about before we leave today's episode. But
yeah,
yeah, from that standpoint. So, but, I've had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, my wife played, which was great. She's got some very strong opinions on the game. I believe your wife does too. We should probably give them the microphone and
yeah.
turn them loose for an episode. That would be
Maybe we make
interesting.
another episode with giving the wives a talk, or let the wives
Yeah,
talking.
absolutely. Oh yeah.
May-
No, my wife's got some very
I'm
strong
not sure if they
opinions.
would talk about the game when they are left alone with the microphone. So
Well, maybe we get a short episode out of it. So,
yeah,
but which would be very cool. But yeah, but it was great having it play, and like I mentioned, she's a gamer, so she went
yeah.
all out, and like I said, you know, did you have another topic you wanted to bring up, or let's jump into the abyss?
Let's jump in the abyss for now,
There
just
you go.
because you are getting too nervous if we push that back further in here.
Not nervous, excited.
Yeah,
But boy, I'll tell you what, in the main set, and we talked about this on the Kings of War Champions Fanatic page over there on Facebook. This came up. It's like, how do you win with the Abyss? So I have not. And, the times I've played them, I have been tabled every time. So I'm sure I'm playing them wrong because they just don't have the strength to go up and punch people in the face. The Basileans, on the other hand, they are a roll machine. I mean, they're shooting and, buffing, and they've got elite and piercing. And I mean, they're just cutting the abyss down. So there's a
yeah.
big debate on, is the starter set balanced? Is it not balanced? What do you do for the poor abyss? How do you win with them? So what are your takes on that?
Yeah. Um, I haven't played the abyss yet, because my starter set isn't still here, so I haven't played with them. We choose different factions to play because my wife is a Twilightkin or elf player, and I have only the Demo rules. We played with those. uh, it's a tricky one. How would I go with the abyss? I think we are going back. The main issue I think would be that if you try to play kill too hard with them, so abyss are more like the play the scenario and ignore the other player type of army. But this is also I haven't seen the big balance issue now with the using the 2-player set rules I got, simply because I'm not that good of a player anyway. So I'm for sure used the Basileans wrong as well. And I have only seen when my wife played the Abyss, she usually lost when she tried to kill me instead of playing the scenario. And while I had a hard take on playing the scenario with the Basilean instead of trying to kill the other opponent. So it might be a different approach in game style here, but not sure, because I'm not that good of a player anyway. So it might be on me that I struggle with the Basileia too, and it's just the better players picking the better force and go in easy mode. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, but you know what? That is actually some good advice. So I will try that the next time I play them. I'm actually painting up the Abyss, and they will be I don't know why, because they've gotten tabled every time I played them, but I'm going to do it anyways. I've got to figure out a way to make them work. And if anything else, when you're demoing a game, it's always good to quote unquote let the Wookiee win. So
Yeah.
if I'm getting my face punched in, the other person's having a good time, and I want new opponents to play. So, I'll get them the next time. I don't have to win every game, and because I don't win every game, so I'm used to that. So,
I think champion is also. I think if it's really that bad, the game is a short one. You can always switch armies with that one. Like, let's play 2 out of 3, and we switch sides each game. So you start with Basileia, the other plays the Abyss. When the game is done, play a second one, switch the armies, see if the other one gets struggle or better, things like that. So you can do that with the game when it's only lasting a short amount of time. So don't hesitate to switch armies around if you feel that there's a balance issue, anything like that, or that one is always losing when playing the same army, just giving a different army, because it might also be that someone struggles with how that army plays, because you don't know. Some armies are because we play with fixed list. You cannot adjust anything in here. The army is what it is. It is set for a specific playstyle. If this playstyle doesn't fit how you are handling armies, it might just be that you and your army don't match, and a different army would get easier for you to play and get along with it. So this could easily be, and even if it's a gaming day or you play with friends, family, switching armies around isn't an issue anywhere, or should not be one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The other thing you can think of, too, is you can retire that company and tool it up for Kings of War, or use it as a demo one, or, give it away, sell it. You're not stuck with armies. There's always people out there that'll buy painted stuff so they don't have to paint it. So...
Absolutely. There are a lot of people who don't like to paint but like to play. Also, friends, family. If you buy a box, paint it up, and you don't like how it plays, give it to the kids, give it to a friend. You have now a second army. If you have a friend who hesitates starting gaming because he doesn't want to build and paint models, you now have an army to give to him. Make it a birthday gift for Christmas or anything. He has now an army. He can now play. There's no excuse anymore to hesitate starting gaming. So there are always possibilities.
Yeah, you could have the gaming event, and maybe somebody keep it as the loaner army, a loaner company.
Yeah.
For somebody that comes in from out of the country, or from the neighboring town and doesn't have anything, or somebody who doesn't have a company and just wants to play it. It's not a bad idea to have a spare laying around. So, plus
traveling is often an issue. So people want to play someone else, but they hesitate to get the armies in the car or on the train and travel with them, because the fear of them getting damaged and things like that. So having a spare army around for people just to come along is always a good. So there's nothing wasted on having a painted army at home, even if you yourself don't play with it. It's like always. it's much
Right.
easier to get people in and play with you if you have two painted armies, one for you and one for the other person.
Well, I kind of think of the companies as expansion packs. So to the base game. So, and some people, they buy all the expansions for their favorite games and some people don't. So I'm one of those people
Yeah.
that, if I can buy the expansions for the games I really like, that I buy them. So that's why I am, they're nice little hobby projects, and I'm actually going to use them as feeders for my Kings of War army. So I'm going to change the basing that I have on each of them. If I have an existing Kings of War army, I'm going to replicate the basing on my Champions army to match that. Or if I'm going to possibly start an army in the future, I'm going to use, and I'll go over this at a later date, what I call the Mike Carter method. So for basing, and I'll go over that at a later time. So, but probably make a
Or
video
never.
out of that. But
Yeah.
and it's nothing official. It's just something that I think works. And so, but I'll be happy to share that with everybody. So, but yeah, so there's different ways you can do that as well.
Yeah, of course. And they're also, you can also look at them as a hobby project or collector's item, because if you said you were always curious on how the models build or how they work out, or you say you always wanted to paint a Night Stalker's army but never really play it. Oh, the Champions box, put them together, paint it, put them on the shelf is still an option as well for the collectors out there or the painters. Those are nice little hobby projects where you can go to also try and go crazy. Or you want to try out a new color scheme for your Kings of War army, or a pacing technique or something like that. Or you learn something that you want to try out on starting, so you can use this as models, because you have a small army, you can paint it, put together to see how it looks in a bigger formation before you decide to paint your actual Kings of War army like that. Things like so. This is a nice, and I'm also kind of this collector as well, who only feels right when he gets everything or all the expansions in there. So I need to, how to say, keep myself off a little bit, because it gets expensive very fast if you really want to have all the expansions in there. But I am for sure looking into, let's see what comes. So already on 4 on the pre-order for the German versions. Let's see what else is coming on. I'm waiting for November to see what the upcoming faction is, but then it gets interesting for Christmas with the Champions boxes.
So speaking of the German, so you guys have the 2-player starter set, and then you've got the 4 original company releases. So Lethiel, Void Talon, Grunk, right? And Jordan.
Also we get all the Champions boxes out there. I think, was it 4?
Yeah, well, the halflings and the ogres are out now, supposedly.
Yeah.
If you can buy them. If you bought them direct from Mantic, you can get them. But, I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to make a local game store or something sell them to me so that
me have a
I can buy it locally.
Check with the local store website.
Oh, see, there you go. That's what I'm doing.
Don't get anything. Yeah, I always buy with I have 2 local shops where I usually buy my stuff, and one is more on the historical side, so there I get all my human models and hobby supply stuff, and the other one's having the fantasy stuff and sci-fi stuff. So this is like two hobby shops where I usually get my orders in. So checking out this 1, 2,
it sounds like
3.
they coexist nicely because they focus on different things.
Yeah, exactly. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So currently, I see on my on the local store 7 Champions boxes listed for pre-order in German, and the 8th one is the 2-player starter set. So there are currently 8 boxes available for pre-order in German, which I think should be all of them.
Yeah, that should be all of them.
Yeah.
Yep. 7 of them for sure, because the 8th should be the mystery faction. Do they have the mystery faction up for order in German?
Not yet.
Okay, I was going to say that would be a scoop. So
if that one would be available in German earlier than it is in English, that would be an interesting thing.
Well, come on, you got to get something sometime, right? As opposed to being at the back end of the train. Sometimes it's nice to ride up front, right? So
I mean, the nice thing is that we get the first, usually an already error corrected rule book and things like that, because the usual typos that make it into the English version are corrected when we translate it to German, because the translator and editors look through it and say, okay, that isn't right, that must be a typo, let's correct that one in the rules for the other version. So the German version at least has the first errors that are found corrected when it is released. So we get this as an advantage.
see, there you go. So that, or the people editing the German version are just better editors. English version. I guess.
No, it's not about who is a good or bad editor. There are mistakes in things like that. I have once, this is some time ago when my mother was still working, they got for her company an Summerfest advertising sheet out, and she was designing it, put all data together, gave it me to read if everything is correct, gave it another person to the company if everything is correct, and I think 3 or 4 people looked through it, edited it, and things like that, just checking for mistake. And then it came back from the printer, and there was the wrong year on it. So, mistakes make it through. You can have as many people looking at it. They're like the obvious typos. No one catches it on first glance. This is like something that is happens all the time. So not getting bad at if there are those typos in there, but at least if you can spot them, the editors correct them.
There you go. I call that the blah, blah, blah effect. Because after you've been reading, and reading the same thing over and over, and you're just going through, it's like, oh, just be done already. And then all of a sudden your mind starts going blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You're not seeing it as clear. I mean, it's the thing. Absolutely. There you go. All right. Well, I ranted about the Abyss. So, do you got any specific thing you wanted to talk about this episode?
We talked a little bit about the gameplay. How do you feel with the gameplay? Is it because in the first episode I was talking a lot about that from my experience. We haven't talked about your gameplay, also your really gameplay experience yet. So how do you feel are the rules written and how to bring the rules on the table? All those small little things that are different to Kings of War.
Yeah, that's really one of the things is suspending your Kings of War knowledge a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. I did have to check, the rule book here and there because particularly in the first couple games, because, there are changes from Kings and, when you've played it, it's kind of like a new edition, the way that it feels. It's kind of like, okay, they changed things now. Withdrawal is optional, the bounce back rule, this, that, or the other thing, like when we were talking about it, early on when it first came out, talk about the blah, blah, blah effect, it's like, oh, okay, bounce back. All right. And you're like, no, Mark, your opponent bounces back. And it's like, wow. Okay. Well, that's how you get people off of objectives. So that was very interesting. So, and that's the thing is that I found in the gameplay is the different type of little tactical things you can do, other little tricks, like it's really weird with everybody having nimble, and like trying to remember that you can back up and pivot, but you can't go side to side and pivot. And, there's just changes here and there. So, which is very, very interesting. So, the one thing I found very interesting in some of the gameplay is we had some people behind the wall and you would hit them. And if you didn't kill them, you would bounce them back and then you had the wall, So that was also very interesting.
Those small little tactical opportunities you are not expecting when you're used to Kings of War.
Yeah, exactly. And, you pick them up as you're going along. Your first couple games are really, figuring how, it works and stuff like that. So, of course, if you get Adam Ballard or somebody else like that dissecting champions, I'm sure there's probably some kind of Venn diagram with arrows and circles and protractors involved that will, totally change the way I play, which is just, kind of just go for it, and have fun with the game, as opposed to just trying to be the best and crush face with it. So, but
there's no planning ahead needed.
Yeah, it's just, just see how it goes. How are things progressing? And I like seeing the story come through and stuff like that. So, like the Slithering Bishop, when I was playing my wife, I had the Slithering Bishop up there trying to punch out with the Knights. I figured, well, if I could tie him up or take him out, that would be good. And then, of course, he's got a really big base, and Alanis finally crawled across the battlefield and slammed me in the side. That was the end of the Slithering Bishop. But, that's how I was feeling out the fact that, the Abyss cannot go toe-to-toe. They are not going to play kill with the Basileans.
Yeah.
Like you said, it sounds like you've got to play scenario, from the way that works out. So.
I mean, don't try to kill everything is always a good advice, also in Kings of War. It's like the first mistake people make when one really tries to go, and now I need to kill everything. No, you don't need to. No, not even for the story. It's more fun the other way around. So when you try to get to play as long as possible and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the Slithering Bishop, with his background story and stuff like that, and the big scary hammer he has, you figured he's going to go up and punch face. That's kind of like what he's doing. He's going to come out. That's where he is going. And, the Slithering Bishop's got the big two-handed weapon, and you got these berserkers, and, them hiding in the woods just doesn't seem thematic to me. So they got to go. They got to go and try to wreck face. But, the big thing is, that or close across the table, which is what I did with the Slithering Bishop. And, the Berserkers, was always try to get them across the table, to just start tying people up so they don't get to the objectives and, try to wear them down or beat them up or get rid of them. But, I mean, I even found, my Berserkers bouncing off of the Spearmen. It's like, really? These guys should be big and scary.
And that's the point. They are just big and scary. They are the evil boss. They are not going to play fair. If you could get them in a fair game and playing a 1-to-1, of course they are not doing a match. It's not supposed to be that way. They are the evil, sneaky guys. They just look intimidating. They look like more evil than they should be. That's yeah. Let's see. I need to try something with the Abyssals now to check out if it's really that bad or just a bad feeling and things like that. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, well, if you have any advice or something like that, come drop it on the Facebook page. So we would love to hear it. Or, hey, drop it in the comments. We'll certainly go to the Mantic Universe podcast page and, drop it on the episode thread. And Matthias and I will read those out. Maybe we as a group can come up with some groupthink ideas for, how the Abyssals could do a little better and help win some games.
Maybe some others have different experience here. It's like maybe there's someone out there who struggles to win with the Basilean against the Abyssals. So please share your thoughts on that one. Leave a comment, get in contact, tell us your story.
Absolutely. Let's help each other out and see, because right now there's a lot of grumbling about how they're going to sit on the shelf. And I feel bad because it's also the 2-player box set. And you don't want your 2-player box set to be that lopsided, so you don't want to have that happen. And as of right now, I would give the advice, if you're doing this with your kids, you play the Abyss. So let the kids wreck face with the Basileans. So
Maybe this was Bob's intention in here. You know, Rob might go, yeah, the kids play the shiny knights or the white knights in shiny armor, and you as your parent have to play the evil abyss they defeat. So maybe this is an intentional thing here. Maybe we need to get Rob Berman in to talk a little bit about this, was what he thought.
Well, that sounds like a good idea, because I sent Rob a note about the old abyss question. So I haven't heard back from him yet. I know that he mentioned he was going to go back and look at his playtest notes. So that is a great idea. I will drop him a note right after this episode is recorded and see if we can line him up to come on and join us.
Yeah. So let's see. So think we have all the major topics now through that we wanted to talk about? Or?
Yeah, that's good. We got to save some material for our next episode.
Yeah, fine. So if anyone has any questions, want us to talk about specific things or get in specific reviews, or maybe a hobby and a dedicated hobby and building guide into, please leave a comment. Tell us what you want to hear in future. And Mark, always nice to have you on the pod and talk to you. Very nice day. And everyone out there, have a nice day. Get well. Build your models. Have fun.
Take care.